Well, so obviously it's the mailbag. Welcome. I did a jingle last mailbag, and people have sent in a couple of jingles, sort of remixes of the one that I did. So why don't I drag those into the Discord? You guys can listen to them, and we'll get the editor to play them so that we know which one, and people can decide which one they like. I don't think we're going to have a permanent jingle. But let me just download these real quick.
Well, who knows? What if one of these ones is a banger and we decide to keep it?
True. I think you're going to like this one a lot. All right, are you ready? We'll play tune one on 3. So I'll go 3, 2, 1, play. Okay, 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Wow. It sounds almost like 80s Christmas.
But then it ends with this kind of
boom. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So Sip saying wow during it kind of feels like it was part of it, but he's not in it.
Wow.
But I liked it. I liked that. I think you should add Sip saying wow.
Sample me in. Yeah, that's a great sample.
You just give him a clean wow now.
Can you just say wow?
Wow.
All right, let's listen.
The most unimpressed.
Let's listen to tune 2. Ready?
Okay.
Right, this one's a little longer, so we can dip out earlier because it gets a little repetitive.
It's a minute long.
Yeah, I know. We're going to stop at 20 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm open to suggestions, and if someone can take this raw version and turn it to something good, maybe we'll do something with it. This is how it goes.
Wow.
The mailbag. The mailbag. The mailbag here once again.
This is good.
This is great.
The mailbag here once again.
I want to listen to the whole thing.
The mailbag. The mailbag. The mailbag here once again. The mailbag. Mailbag. The mailbag here once again. The mailbag. The mailbag. The mailbag here once again.
Once again.
Okay.
All right. I was gonna stop it, but that was actually pretty good.
Yes.
I don't think we used the whole thing.
No, but I think I do like the way it builds, and you can hear the wow guitars coming in and stuff. It feels like it's going to be an awesome song, and then it's just me going here once again.
Here once again.
I think they've both taken your fairly tuneful song and made it enhanced it. It feels like they may have also tuned you a little bit.
I hope
but that's
so.
Standard stuff now, right? Like,
all right, this is tune. We found a tune 3. I found a tune 3. Let's listen to this.
Oh, you found one.
Yeah, I this was one I hadn't found previously. Ready? We'll play it on 3, 2, 1, play.
It's the mailbag. The mailbag.
It's not you.
No.
The mailbag here once again. It's Sips, Lewis, and P. Flax answering your mail.
It kind of sounds like music that would be in a documentary about whales or something. You know?
Oh, okay.
I'm pausing. I'm stopping it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop it too.
Right.
I'm not saying it's bad because it's not. It is pretty good.
It's quite downbeat. I'll say that.
It's downbeat. Yeah, I think you
downbeat.
set the tone. I think you set the downbeat tone because whilst your original jingle was tuneful, I agree with Lewis.
It wasn't sad.
It wasn't punchy enough.
The mailbag.
It was a little downbeat. Yeah,
mailbag.
I'll work on it.
The mailbag.
I'll work on it.
Here. Once again, it is a bit sad.
It's sad. That's because I've got to read these emails. I guess that's
Maybe do the mail. Maybe like I think the Bob the Builder theme music is pretty punchy, right?
You know what? You know what I like? The Fireman Sam theme tune is a fucking banger.
That is a great one.
That is such a good theme song. Like that gets me pumped. And
so
I've
move
never
aside,
watched a
make
full
way.
episode.
It's Fireman Sam and
He's
gonna
always
save the
in the
day.
day.
Yeah,
Fireman
I know.
Sam, you cannot ignore.
Sam is the hero next door.
What a fucking
I know,
banger.
it's so good.
That's
it
a
is so
great
good,
tune.
actually. Yeah.
All right. So I had about 30 emails about eggs after talking about eggs.
Well, okay. So, and what was like the general consensus?
Well, so I'll say first of all that the emails were very nice. Like they were not unpleasant emails. There were a lot of, because I did genuinely want to know why.
They were nice like eggs.
They were almost as delicious as an egg from a mistreated hen. They really were.
Was the tone kind of like a gentle check yourself before you wreck yourself sort of thing?
No, it was just here are the reasons. Like it was like fact checking. So this is probably the best. This is Luke, someone who is not a vegan but interested in the ethics of food. So, number one, making eggs requires breeding hens. This also results in roosters, which are slaughtered as they're useless for egg laying. So that has been a very common thing. And I know that in very large chicken farms and egg farms, they just have a conveyor belt and they're like, boy, and they toss the boys onto a grinder, just instantly.
It is like some dystopian nightmare machine, isn't it?
Yeah. Although apparently in another email, someone said that they have developed this thing. It's like a laser that very quickly passes over the egg and can tell whether it's a male or female chick in there. And they just bin that egg off if it's a boy, apparently. Vegans can find no ethical argument for keeping animals in captivity, nor for using, and this is Luke's choice of phrase, the fruit of their labors, as animals cannot consent to anything. Consent is required, as other animals cannot be morally separated from humans, and it's obvious with humans that consent is required to be the recipient of their labor. So essentially, the argument is, what's the real difference between humans and animals? We're all animals, and we shouldn't mistreat them. That's what it boils down to. So we're essentially enslaving animals just because we're much smarter than them, I guess. Yeah. So I thought it was a decent moral argument. Yeah. Still going to eat eggs because I just kind of think animals are there to be fucked with. Sorry.
I think eggs is a
you and several billion other people. Flax, yes.
I'm like, well, we won the war. I'm sorry, we evolved beyond you, and now we're going to eat you. They'd eat us. I'll put it that way.
To me, eggs is like it's not like a very straightforward one. Like I think that there's definitely situations like where you could still justify it, and it's maybe still cruel, but not that cruel. You know what I mean? Like not as cruel as, you know, some of the other applications of animal products and byproducts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think eggs you could probably you know, still feel like you could sleep at night, you know, and it's not, you haven't really been horrible to the chickens that have laid them, especially if you keep them yourself.
Well, exactly.
And you look after them. I mean, those eggs are just going to rot there. They're never going to do anything with them.
So a friend of mine said that he's got some vegan friends of his who have a chicken called Barry. Barry is a lady chicken. And this chicken sleeps in their room. And they carry Barry up and down the stairs, and Barry the chicken is like a pet, like a household beloved chicken. And they are vegans, but they eat Barry's eggs because why not? I mean, Barry's just laying these eggs. Yeah. And I think certainly my point was
sick.
Why?
these things. I think like eggs, they give a lot of people and me a bit of the ick. I've said this last time.
Yeah, a few people said that.
Like the idea that you're eating this sort of weird embryo that came out of its arse.
I look at them and they just look they look like purity and life is what eggs say to me. And certainly symbolically,
you're eating
eggs
like
have
an
always
unborn egg baby.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Chicken baby. It's full of it's just such a gross idea. Like just super gross, isn't it?
A lot of people wrote in and said the same thing. Anyway, let's move on. This is about maple syrup. Hello, Pyrian. My name is Thierry from Quebec. Thierry from Quebec. In episode 279, in episode 279, Sips talked about maple syrup production and indicated that sugar and other things were added to the maple syrup. I must say that this is complete bollocks. The process of maple syrup production could not be more simple. Maple water is harvested from the maple trees and collected into large vats. This maple water is then boiled down into maple syrup. 40 liters of maple water produces 1 liter of maple syrup. The maple water contains about 2% sugar, and the final maple syrup more than 66% sugar. You can also keep boiling it to obtain other products such as maple taffy or maple candies, which are still made without any additives. have a good day. And if you ever come to Quebec,
well, I've definitely
blah, blah, blah.
had the taffy and stuff, and the places I've been to, they do sprinkle a little bit of sugar on top. So
thank you very much to Thierry from the Canadian Marketing Board. There you go. That was a nice message. Just putting the track right on maple syrup, not needing added sugar.
No, I don't. I agree. I don't think
it's
it needs
sugary
it.
enough already. It's 66%
I
sugar.
don't think
guys.
it needs it, but I think just a sprinkle on top sometimes, depending, I think it's fine. You know,
a little sprinkle of sugar because your pancakes aren't sugary
just
enough.
a little tiny bit of sugar on top of your sugar.
Right, no. It's just to set off that, just
look, it's only 66% sugar. It's only 66%.
There's still room for more in there. Yeah.
There's room for growth.
Plenty of room.
This is who am I? We have evolved this way, and several other billion humans love the sugariest shit.
Oh my god! What about people that put sugar on their cereal? That always.
Well, what cereal?
I have turned a corner, and I put salt on my watermelon.
You put what on your watermelon?
Salt.
Yeah, have you ever tried salt on watermelon? Not like table salt, like a little bit of kosher sprinkled salt. A little bit of nice.
Do you know what? I would rather have a chicken sleeping in my room than put salt on a watermelon.
That sounds really gross. No,
you
I'm
really
good.
should try it. I've had pickled.
I would rather the
well.
chicken sleep in my room and lay an egg on my face every day than have salt on my watermelon.
Directly into your mouth.
Sure.
Fuck me.
Okay. Holy crap. Last night I've got this I've got some it's either a pinched nerve or the doctor thinks maybe it's like a muscle problem. I got some muscle spasms or something. I don't know. But whatever. For whatever reason it is, I cannot sleep on my side. So I'm forced to sleep on my back. And last night I actually woke myself up multiple times through snoring. Because the minute I'm on my back, I'm snoring. I'm like a foghorn. It's insane. And
that's like a sleep apnea thing. I think a lot. That's kind of I think simple sleep apnea is similar to that.
Yeah,
like sleeping
multiple times. It's not like I'm out of breath or anything like that. I just very loudly snoring, like it was insane. And then my wife was like,
yourself up with the volume of it.
Yeah, and my wife, like maybe an hour after we went to sleep, she was like, I woke up. Because like I was like lightly sleeping anyway and waking myself up with the snoring. And she's kind of peering over me and she's like, are you actually serious? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you're joking, right? And I was like, no, what do you mean? I was sleeping. She's like, I've never heard anything like it. It sounds like there's like a jet engine like in my bed next to me. It's so fucking loud. Like I have not slept a wink since we went to bed. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just go downstairs. I guess then I just slept on the floor downstairs. I actually did sleep, but I still have to sleep on my back on the flat floor and woke myself up about 1,000,000 times with loud ass snoring. So wow. Yeah, I'm cursed at this point. Like it's a full curse.
So we recorded this the day after the podcast where we talked about you might have a trapped nerve or something in your neck.
I got some painkillers which are quite nice actually, but still some degree of pain. Like I think I just
How strong are we talking? Are we talking like opioid crisis or are we talking like modern day?
No, we're talking
codeine?
like some codeine. Like it's not
codeine. Yeah. Okay, so it's stuff you can still buy over the counter. Basically.
Yeah, but it's like probably a bit of a stronger dose, which but not strong enough to send me into potential cardiac arrest, because the previous times where I've had like high dosages of codeine, my I don't take well to it. I don't like it. Doesn't agree with me at all. I was like doubled over. It felt like I had like a vice on my chest. Like it was crushing.
Hell.
Yeah.
God, it's terrifying.
Fuck, I know it's nuts. You spend your whole life thinking, "Fuck, I'm invincible," and then you reach the age of 27. You're just like, "Man, I'm fragile." All of a sudden, what's wrong with me?
You're just fucking your hot wife, and your neck makes a crick.
Jeez,
and then
God. You're just having full-on gymnast sex, and then next thing you know, you're fucking crippled. You can't even.
So I was hanging from the ceiling on my sex swing.
I was swinging around by my scrotum, and now I can't even lift a glass of water. How am I supposed to drink my cum now?
Jesus.
What? Sorry. I thought
what?
I thought we were talking about wild sex.
We were going there.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is from Warren. which is not a name you hear much anymore. This is called Being a Shithead in Games. That's the title of this email. Now, this is going to anger a lot of people, but I think it's quite funny.
Yeah.
During COVID, me and my friends would play a lot of CSGO during our online classes. So I'm going to assume that Warren is very young.
Yes.
This got boring really quickly, so we started getting randoms banned in CSGO. Right now, we have a list of our Discord with over 200 names of people we got banned, ranging from 30 minutes to 7 days. We did this so they would go into a game of CSGO and they would force people to get booted from the server and banned. We did this by first cussing them out like no tomorrow and hoping that they'd shoot us. If that didn't work, we would stand in front of them while they were shooting at the enemy and hope they'd accidentally shoot us. Lastly, we gave them our secret weapon, a Molotov cocktail. After they threw it, we would rush towards it and stand in it with 3 or 4 people, which worked most of the time. Although it was a lot of fun back then, I can't stop thinking now how many days or even weeks we ruined because we had to let out our anger during COVID. That they wanted to vent during this shitty time, and we just had to be a bunch of assholes. Indeed, Warren, that is some real asshole behavior.
Yeah. I would say that not only did you waste everyone else's time, but you probably wasted your own as well.
Oh, I bet it was a lot of fun, though. I bet they had an absolute laugh.
What a school teacher thing to say.
Yes.
It's your own time you're wasting.
Stand by it. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind. I like to wind people up or whatever, but like, I don't know. That's like borderline, like just kind of vindictive, isn't it?
I think you
just young kids.
You love to be an arsehole in games, though. Maybe not online games, but I've seen you kick dogs in Red Dead Redemption 2 and laugh your ass off.
I mean, come on.
I
mean, it's like,
that's a virtual dog.
It's a virtual dog.
It's a dog in a video game.
And he's wasting his own time.
And I'm wasting my own damn time.
It is always sort of surprising to me how many horrible arsehole options there are in video games, and how there's a lot of them in Baldur's Gate, there's a lot of them in the Fallout games. You can really, and even like Mass Effect.
Yeah, but I mean, these are single player experiences. We're talking about going out of your way to get actual people banned from a game who are just joining games with the intention of playing them the way they're meant to be played. I mean, this is...
And they're thinking, I've got time for one game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, these random people I queue with.
Well, those are the people I feel sorry for. I mean, if those guys that you got banned were also doing the shit that you guys were doing, then fair enough, I guess.
No, they were not.
The circle of life. But like, if you're just getting random people banned who are just logging on just
banned for team killing on their server.
Yeah, but they might be for a week. They can't play their favorite game because of your shitty behavior. Look,
you probably improved their life not playing CS:GO for a week. They probably got outside and met
but the intention.
A beautiful woman.
Please don't email in about that. Yeah. Please don't email in about that.
I want people to tell me why, because whenever I play these games with choices, I always find it very difficult to be an arsehole unless for no reason.
So you find it difficult to be an arsehole online, but it comes naturally to you in the real world. It's incredible.
Yes, I was going to say.
You want to play a different kind of character.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, P-Flax.
This is why we play games to escape. It's escapism.
I don't know. I just always feel bad. I feel bad when I'm seeing even watching back videos of people showing me clips of what happens when you're mean to this guy. What happens if you do this to this? What happens if you kill all these guys and you talk to this guy and he's sad? Do you know what I mean? What if you kill this guy's whole family and then talk to him? It's
right, but I think it's because if it's a good story, you get immersed in it. Well, that's it. You become that character. I mean, for example, when I'm designing my character, I can't do what Sips does, where I make him look insane with some weird thing coming out of his head, bizarre hair, and he's like.
I love games where they appear in
I
all
want to
of
be
your...
that guy.
I love when they appear in their cutscenes though, because they look.
It's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. That's why it's so great.
You can't become immersed in a storyline where they cut to your character and they're like, you are the only one who can save us. You're just like a naked dwarf with a giant nose and bright green hair. Yeah,
but then I made in Baldur's Gate 3, I made my guardian look exactly like me. So it was like a little dwarf. It was a little female dwarf with a mustache.
Oh, right.
It was amazing.
So that's your conscience behind the camera.
And I was so pleased the first time I saw them as well.
Did you, P-Flax, when you make a character in game, do you make it look like like you, or do you go with like a specific thing?
No, they're always
like a
bold.
specific idea.
They're always bold.
You make them
So you
bold.
always pick bold.
Yeah,
right.
and if possible, I'll make them as tall and as wide as possible. Because I always think it's funny to see, like, you'll have a conversation with someone and there's like an 8-foot lad that's hugely fat with like a bald head just sort of glaring down at people. I always think that's funny. But if
That's your image of what you want to be.
Right. If it's a game I take serious, like Baldur's Gate 3, I'll try to make them look like kind of cool, like aspirationally cool, like the way I would like to look, but always bold. Always.
I don't really make characters after myself, and also not interested in me being in a game. You know what I mean? Like
I try to get immersed. But that's fair enough.
I like to have like a character that I can pretend to be, if you like, you know, like rather than just be myself.
Well, of course, I think that's a different one. Like, how do you feel, P-Flax, about like scars or like tattoos?
I'm not a tattoo or scar haver, really. I've got an appendix scar, that's it. But you know, I'm not a scar haver, so I just kind of feel
that's an option on much character
appendix
creation.
Scar. So I mean, sometimes I'll add one. You know, it depends on the character I'm playing. Like if I'm playing like some kind of barbarian type, then sure. But I don't really go in for that. I just go for a pretty default lad.
You got to have like the Braveheart face paint for barbarians and stuff now.
Exactly.
Too, right?
Yeah. Woad. The Woad.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next email anyway. This is
sure.
This is from
that's really
Evan.
Interesting. I'm exactly the same though. Like, you know, I've recently my characters have had a moustache. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Just because I've got one.
Yeah, of course.
Like, okay, this is funny that I can make it look vaguely like a hot version of me.
I honestly,
That's another thing.
for the most part, my characters will be female, and I still subscribe to the idea, like in WoW, if you're looking at the back of a character, I just want to look at some ass, you know, like
for 9 hours a day.
Yeah, I don't want to look at some dude's
cartoon
ass.
ass.
Yeah, I'll look
Isn't that like you're ogling yourself though? There, that's fine.
That's fine.
All right. Anyway,
this is from Evan. This is the story of how his dad poisoned himself, but it ended up saving his dad's life.
Oh.
One day, my dad was doing some power washing outside. They're relevant to Sip's interest. He was using highly concentrated power washing liquid and pouring it into his machine. The bottle somehow cracked and started leaking power wash concentrate everywhere. He grabbed the nearest container to catch the liquid. It was a green-colored Perrier water bottle. So he caught it in there, continued washing. Now, at some point, the bottle made its way to the patio. Someone must have brought it into the house, and somehow it ended up in the fridge. A few weeks later, his mum and dad are having breakfast outside in the patio. Dad walks inside to grab someone to drink, gets the bottle, takes a big glug, and you can imagine what happened next. He immediately realized what was happening and what he'd just done. He felt his throat was closing up and he could hardly breathe. He managed to get to the ER. They got him intubated, got him on a ventilator. Took a couple of months for him to fully recover. He's perfectly fine now. This was about 4 years ago.
Right.
This is the crazy part. During his time in the hospital, they had to run all their tests and stuff. They found a cancerous tumor on his pancreas. Because it was discovered so early on, they got rid of it. No problems, and he's absolutely fine. So the takeaway for this is, obviously, do not use unlabeled containers for dangerous chemicals. That is absolutely true. And the stupid mistake, but it did work and saved his life. So I mean, he got lucky. But honestly,
shit,
I've got a bottle of isopropyl alcohol. You can get it on Amazon. Big sort of. It's like a very cheap but very potent chemical. It's just like 100% proof alcohol, basically.
Yeah, basically it comes in like a San Pellegrino bottle.
Yes, it comes in a novelty Coca-Cola bottle.
That's just how it comes. No, but it's like a really plain, boring plastic bottle that you wouldn't know what was in it. So I've drawn with a Sharpie skulls and crossbones all over it, so that I know don't drink this, and that the kids see it and think, oh gosh, that looks dangerous. But I recommend, if you have young children, get this. It will remove marker pens. It will take crayon. It'll lift off stickers, anything involving adhesive or that sticks to another surface. You get a little bit on a bit of cotton or a makeup removal pad. Gone.
It'll take the chrome right off your hitch.
It really will. It really will.
It'll melt all of your pop can tags.
But yeah, acetone's the other one that I used to use for cleaning. That's like nail varnish remover. You got to be careful with these though, because sometimes you can like take the surface of the thing off.
Oh no, you got to be careful. All right, so this is someone who's worked. This is from Kay, who has worked in U.S. healthcare for a long time. We were talking about crazy baby names in a previous episode.
Right.
I've got two name emails. This one had an infant patient whose name was L.A-A. I didn't know how to pronounce her name. And after pronouncing it incorrectly as Leia, the mother very snottily informed me that it's pronounced. See if you can guess how it's pronounced.
It's Ladasha.
It is Ladasha. You pronounced the dash.
Oh,
Yeah, and looked at me as if it was obvious, and I was crazy. Ladasha.
Imagine she becomes a DoorDash delivery person. When
Ladasha.
Yeah.
Ladasha the Dasher.
We gotta get Ladasha in.
I think this is a pretty famous urban myth, the Ladasha. I don't know if this is a real email, because I remember this being I've just googled it and it's like a Snopes article that it's not real.
Oh, have you lied
I'm
to
sure
me,
I
Kay?
heard this about 10 years ago.
Lewis is fact checking like the guy from Pointless. What's his name again?
I just remember this being a classic
Osman,
urban myth.
Well, all right.
Ladasha.
How about this one then? This is from Brendan. Had a high school teacher called Mr. Con Cannon, who they renamed to Mr. Cum Cannon.
Nice.
Oh, God.
Nice. As you do.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
This is Mr. Cum Cannon.
That would be such a good online nickname for when you're getting people banned in CSGO as well.
You were banned
That's
by
a great. That's
Cum
what
Cannon.
your
You
wife
have accidentally
calls
team killed Cum Cannon.
in
My wife calls me Cum Cannon. Not anymore. I had the snip, remember? So
Well, I mean,
stuff still
Mr.
comes out.
Cum
Just for anyone
Cannon,
wondering.
come here.
It's the same. You wouldn't know. All right, this is from a cemetery worker. A day in the life of a cemetery worker. We asked about this.
I feel like it's like a kind of a gardening job, right? Like it feels like it's like a lawn care, gardening kind of maintenance job with some other little bits and pieces thrown in, like.
Well, let's find out. I work as a secretary for a cemetery trust, so not the gardening
Oh,
type.
okay, so
I've
not
worked
the
in this
outdoors.
position
Yeah.
for over a year. Some people may find it morbid and weird. I find it fascinating. The ending to this email gives you a clue as to the kind of person that works in cemeteries. You'll when I get to this bit, you'll think, God, that's dark. Anyway, get this. I often get questions about, do I see bodies or do I cremate people? No, I don't do that. That's a funeral director's job. I do a lot of paperwork regarding the authorization of a burial, who has the right to the plot, sell plots to people who want to reserve a plot in the cemetery, do the accounting and all that kind of stuff. Books funerals, does the grave digging with the contractor for the digging. On the day of the funeral, they have to check the coffin nameplate of the deceased and then move away to make sure the coffin is buried, like lowered into the ground, everything's okay. So all the rest of it.
Yeah.
You got to
this all
sell
sounds
the
very-
plots. You got to go for the hard sell sometimes.
I guess
we got
so.
we got 5 wing plots left. You can expect about 63% sun during the day on these plots, and really nice view of the church building and the field in the back.
And this ground is consecrated. You won't get any people rising from the dead here. This is consecrated ground. Let me just finish this one story. This is the kind of person, in my opinion, that works in death care, if you want.
Right.
The cemetery had one burial in the 90s where a young lad was in a car accident. Apparently, he survived the initial crash, but when the fire brigade arrived at the scene, they ran him over, killing him.
Fucking
Brackets.
hell.
I do get a chuckle out of this, but also it is sad, lol.
That's
Close brackets.
crazy.
So that is so dark. And this
Yeah.
guy's like, the fire brigade ran over him. I think you've got to be just a kind of a dark person to work in a cemetery.
Man,
I guess.
how are you feeling if you're the guy driving the fire truck that day and you've done that? That's got to be.
Yeah, that would suck. I mean, I just think that story is just incredibly depressing, but this guy gets a chuckle out of it. I think that's the kind of person who works in death care, I guess, finds humor in any situation.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? The gallows humor, for sure.
It's like if
All
you're
right,
driving
you've
an
thought
ambulance
about-
and you drive it too fast over a bump, and then the person in the back goes flying and goes up through the roof and then outside.
This is GTA shit.
That's some
right here.
GTA shit right
that is
there.
some
Yeah.
GTA shit.
Do you have a reserved plot or a plan
No.
for if you died, where you would go? Do you know where you would go?
No,
No.
I have life
Where
insurance.
would they put
That's
you?
about it.
I've got the life insurance, but I mean, I haven't started planning about where I
If you
want to go.
died today,
Yeah.
where would they put you?
I would like to be cremated and scattered at sea.
I would
Okay.
like to be cremated, and I honestly don't give a shit what they do with me post that. Sprinkle
Got
me on some
sprinkled on, like,
watermelon or something. I don't give a shit.
Tiramisu Okay, sure.
I mean, I think about death a lot. When I did a podcast with Dr. K a while back, the healthy gamer, and talked to him about how I fear death.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, it happens to everybody, so don't worry about it. I was like, okay, doc.
Thanks.
Yeah. I think it's just imagining nothing is impossible. Like we can't as humans imagine that. But the way I've had it put to me is that if you can imagine life before you were born, so it's just like that, but after you've died. So
I guess,
just imagine you not existing.
I always
in the world.
feel like it's just like, when you're super tired and you just fall asleep randomly, but like you're out cold sort of thing. It's got to just be like that, right?
So
1 minute you're there and the next minute you're not. And hopefully when you
imagine darkness. When we think of death and nothingness, we think of darkness, but it's not even that. It's the absence of anything.
Well, that's it. But people are imagining the thing I think they're scared of is they're imagining darkness, but they're imagining being conscious for that darkness. But it's obviously not. You just don't exist anymore.
But that's terrifying to me.
It's terrifying to think that, the people that you love and stuff and the effect that it would have on them, and you won't get to see people again and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you are just non-existent anymore. So like you'll never feel that pain beyond while you're alive.
Yeah. They say all fear comes down to a fear of the unknown, right? Like not necessarily knowing what will happen or what is there, and I think that, it's understandable when you've got a complicated life full of people that you care about, that you would worry about them after you're gone. Yeah. But I think that from my point of view, I think it always comes back to the idea of there was nothing before, right? There was nothing before. Yeah. I was nothing before I was born, and I will go back to being that.
Right,
like,
but it's scary.
It's scary. It's not like I'm owed anything else. Do you know what I mean? Or I deserve anything.
I just fear it. I mean, you know what? I think there is definitely all fear is fear of the unknown. I don't know if that's true, because I know what would happen to me if I got attacked by a deer, and I'm scared of it, even though I can imagine that the deer would, of course, beat me in a fight. To go back to an old mailbag story that I still get mails about, saying that some lad
this is if the deer was actually interested in having a fight.
We've stipulated
they are flighty.
They are, but this one's going to fight to the death. Talking of animals, so I was trying to segue neatly into this next email.
Right.
This is an interesting title: Horse versus Car. Brackets, not clickbait.
Right.
And I didn't think it was clickbait with the title Horse versus Car, but sure. Hi, my name is Max. And if a magical genie appeared in front of you and offered you the following, which would you choose and why? This is a really weird question.
Oh, right.
A moderately high-end car that never broke down, needed gas or servicing, or the ability to summon a tame, immortal horse with the snap of your fingers, like in Elden Ring or The Witcher. That's it.
The few times I've ridden a horse in my life, I've had exceptionally sore balls following. So I'll take the car any day of the week.
Yeah, I'll take the car.
Yeah, sure.
I don't need no fucking Elden Ring horse. No. I don't need no weird immortal god horse.
Hell no.
It's weird. Everyone would say this is the horse guy. The horse would overshadow your personality. You would still feel like you wanted
to feed it and take care of it, even though you would not have to.
Who's going for the horse?
If it's immortal, you could just you could really just neglect it a lot.
Write in if you'd pick the horse. I don't want to have to look after that horse. Nah. Yeah, I'd feel bad.
I wouldn't even look after the car.
It's
honestly.
A slave. It's an sentient being.
So you just snap your fingers and off it goes, like in The Witcher. You just go, or like
Shadowfax, go to bed.
Right,
snap your finger, he's gone. Sleeping.
Before we carry on, using the internet without ExpressVPN is like walking your dog in public without securing them on a leash.
That doesn't sound safe.
They're going to poop everywhere. It's a nightmare.
Exactly. Like, what if one day your dog runs away?
Or snagged by the NSA and interrogated to find out all of your secrets. But your dog, in this instance, actually knows your secrets.
Because your dog is your computer.
Exactly.
It's better to be careful, especially when it's so simple, like using ExpressVPN. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network in cafes, hotels, or airports, your online data is not secured. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data. But ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so they can't. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer Russia 1 billion years to get through ExpressVPN's encryption.
Good lord.
ExpressVPN works on all devices, phone, laptop, tablet, on your smart TV, put it on your router, and it's very easy to use. You just fire up the app and click one button to get protected. I use ExpressVPN. I've got it on my computer, I've got it on my phone. I recommend you do too. It makes me feel safer online, and it's really easy. You just forget about it once it's going. So please get yourself an extra 3 months free of ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/Triforce. That's expressvpn.com/Triforce. Thank you very much.
On with the show.
All right, so someone sent me a script. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not good, but I thought it would be funny.
Don't read it if it's not good. I don't want to hear that.
No. You don't want to read this?
Well.
Fuck. All right, fine, let's do it.
No, we don't have to. You guys are going to read out the characters.
Is this been written by AI?
No, this is some
I can write my own bad scripts. I mean, I don't need somebody else to write a bad script for me.
This is his practice for his film course at uni.
Oh, right, okay.
All right,
I've got it open.
How long is it?
2 characters.
It's
Chuck
3 pages. I'd say,
Calvin.
as scripts go, it is far too much stage direction. It's a huge amount of stage direction.
Okay, so one of us could be the narrator. One of us will be Chuck.
I'll be the narrator.
All right.
Calvin.
I'll be.
But these are clearly American Sips, so it'd be nice if you did one of the voices.
Well, I can't do an American voice.
It's close enough.
Your voice
I'm
is
just chucking the oots and boots out like all the time.
That's fine.
And
Chuck,
fine.
In this story, Chuck is a Canadian cowboy who's traveled down from north, and now
I don't
want
to be Chuck.
All right, be Calvin then.
All right.
And he's Calvin.
All right, I'll do the narrator.
All right.
Interior tavern back room night.
You don't have to read those bits. That's not the.
Yeah, you do. That's how people know where we are.
All right. Okay.
We open in a lively Wild West saloon. It is loud and filled with people dancing, singing, and chatting loudly and indistinctly amongst themselves. There is a piano being played in the corner. We travel through this scene towards a secure steel door at the back of the room with a slider that can be opened to see through. As we get nearer, a man opens the door and walks out, shaking his head. He is looking annoyed, but with a hint of worry. Clearly, he is eager to leave. Traveling through the open door, we reveal a dimly lit room with a table in the middle, a poker game. There are 5 people around the table. Calvin Meeks, he puts his cards on the table, grinning, knowing that he has just won a big pot of money, and he goes to scrape the poker chips towards him before the man opposite him, Chuck Hobbs, slams his fist into the table.
God damn you, you cheated. I know you did. You ain't gonna get away with this, Calvin.
Chuck leaps up from the chair and rushes over to Calvin, throwing him off of his chair and onto the ground. The other men jump up from their chairs, taken off guard. Chuck lands 1 punch on Calvin for being hauled off him by the others.
Get that stupid son of a bitch off me. I didn't do nothing.
You know what you did. You've been stealing from us all evening. I don't know how you did it, but I know a cheat when I see one.
You don't know shit, Chuck Hobbs. You're as dumb as dirt. I heard people saying about you that if your brains were leather, you wouldn't even saddle a flea.
Shut your mouth, Calvin Meeks. I'm gonna get you for this.
Chuck, enraged, struggles against the people holding him back, tries to get at Calvin. Failing to do this, he spits on the ground in front of Calvin.
How about we settle this right here, right now? I take my revolver here, I remove all the bullets except one, then I spin the chamber so we don't know where the bullet is. Then we're gonna take turns putting it to our heads and pulling the trigger, and whoever survives wins.
And how do I know you ain't gonna cheat?
Can't cheat a bullet in the head.
Okay, you got yourself a deal.
Who's going to be bystander number
Lewis,
1?
obviously.
Oh, now hold on, fellas. Why don't we settle this down and talk it out instead?
No, we're settling this right now. No, yeah.
Calvin and Chuck are let go by the other people in the room, return to their seats, and the others watch as Calvin takes his revolver out and removes all of the bullets except one, then spins the chamber, allowing it to stop before pushing the chamber back in. The revolver has 6 cylinders, and we can see that the bullet has landed in the cylinder at the bottom.
Now, do you want to go first, or should I?
Since you ain't enough of a man to offer up yourself, I think I'll go first.
The room is deadly silent as Chuck takes the revolver to the side of his head. The only sound we hear is the clicking of metal as Chuck cocks the hammer of the revolver, turning the chamber and readying the weapon to fire. He takes a deep breath before scrunching his eyes closed and pulling the trigger. Click. Chuck opens his eyes and exhales, throwing the revolver onto the table.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Feeling nervous, Calvin?
This
Chuck
is the
smiles.
longest piece of stage direction ever.
Sorry, all right. I'm going to skip some of this. Calvin takes the revolver, rotating the next cylinder into place, and pulls the trigger. Click. Calvin opens his eyes and exhales, throwing the revolver onto the table, and Chuck suddenly looks far more worried and concerned as he reaches for it. Chuck places the revolver to the side of his head. Moments before he pulls the trigger, he thinks he sees a small smile creep onto Calvin's face, but it's too late, and he pulls the trigger. Bang! A bullet pierces Chuck's skull, and his brains fly out the other side, his lifeless body falling as Calvin stands up to leave, taking his money and his revolver with him. Calvin walks out into the noisy saloon and sees that everyone inside is none the wiser to the events behind the steel door. One of the men from inside follows him out. I saw that smile on your face before he pulled that trigger. You knew he was going to die, didn't you?
Of course I did. If your revolver is as pristine and well-oiled as mine, no matter how many times you spin it with the bullet inside, the bullet will always end up at the bottom because it's heavier. So as long as I let him go first, which he so graciously offered to do, I know I have nothing to worry about.
Well, I'll be damned.
Oh, dearie me.
It's like a bodega.
It is a bodega, yeah.
It really
was
It's a
one.
bodega.
Good heavens.
Oh, God.
We could fix that. We really could fix that. It needs a little work. But
It needs a little work, but I like the premise, of course, of the end of that greased up revolver that's the well maintained spinning.
The problem is if you have to explain it that much, like it's like, well, of course, you expect Calvin to like push his glasses up on the bridge of his nose to explain how he won. It just kind of sucks the cowboy out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you see, as the weapon is oiled so effectively, blah, blah, blah. Just gets a bit silly.
Yes. Well, I think he's only got this. It's only a little throwaway.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, but you
someone
got
has
a little assignment.
I reckon.
It wouldn't work without that little explanation, that little spin. That
But
little
then
reason.
you need to find an elegant way to describe it. If he just
But I
literally
like-
describes it, it's too expositionary. Would be my.
Yes, yeah. But what are your choices?
Where can you go
I guess
from there?
I liked it. Thank you.
There you
That's
go.
fun.
Thank you,
It
Jake.
was pretty good. It's better than I could ever do anyway.
Send us in more of your scripts, not AI generated, please.
People send in scripts.
You could tell it's not AI generated because it had that little gimmick at the end. you know?
I don't know. An AI could come up with that. I think an
I don't know
AI
if it
could
could.
come up with that.
I think that's like a signal that it's like AI's too generic.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up with like those little clever twists and clever solutions.
True. All right, this is from Jake. We were talking about prices of pints. We talked about
Yes.
it a fair bit over the years.
Yeah.
You mentioned someone paying £9 for a pint. So this lad in Brighton lived here his whole life. The pint prices are even ridiculous down in Brighton. Paid £7.90 for a pint the other week. Not only is that
God.
insane, but it was in a plastic cup.
Oh, that's
This
fucking
pub is one I
stupid.
used to go to all the time, but it's since been overrun by students, and they don't even do student prices. Even the Guinness, which is just shy of £7, came in a plastic glass, which is a disgrace.
Yeah.
Some pubs in central London aren't charging the prices we've got down here. That is true. You don't have
That's
to pay
stupid.
those prices
Doesn't
in
make
London.
any sense.
So this is who they blame. I blame Mr. Lion. Brighton residents will know who I'm talking about. From what I gather, he owns a lot of pubs and businesses in Brighton. He's known for being driven around by a paid driver in his fancy Bentley GT or other silly luxury cars. He even has a number plate that says Mr. Lion.
Right.
I don't know why I'm blaming him, but it feels like he's got something to do with it. The smarmy git. Last little question. What do we think about Guinness and what's our opinion on Brighton?
I've never had a Guinness before. I'm aware of what they are. I've just never felt compelled to even try one. So I've just never had one.
I've had Guinness before. I think generally speaking, if I'm in the mood for something like that, like a nice slow pint that you can sip at, I'll have a Guinness. Good Guinness is good. Bad Guinness is terrible. Like I can't drink it from cans and stuff like that. It just tastes awful. But a good pub with a good Guinness. But I can only ever have one. I'm not someone who can like sit there and drink Guinness all
Pound
evening. I
them
know
back.
people who can.
Yeah.
I just have like one Guinness and then it's like that's enough.
I'm just not a very big drinker, honestly. Like if I go out, I'll have a beer or, I'll have a couple of ciders, but I don't go like crazy, like
I guess I've never really understood why I would order a Guinness. Like I've never had like enough of a motivation. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Either. Like it's just I guess I have tasted Guinness. I've drunk Guinness, but usually it's of someone else's pint.
I don't even really order when I order beer. I don't even order it by name. I just say like, "Oh, can I just have a pint?" And then they just give me something. Like I don't.
Is it supposed to be like an extra smooth or something, like
Guinness?
a John Smith's or something? Yeah,
it is like as I understand it, until you've had Guinness. If you have Guinness in Ireland, it'll ruin Guinness for you outside Ireland. That's just the way it is. It's better there.
Well, that's the same with many things.
Yeah. Well, indeed. So it's meant to be much better there, but it's very smooth. It's quite hearty, and it's not something that you would sort of down. So it's a perfect sipping pint, I would say. Sort of thing you'd have if you want to go for a couple of pints. You maybe don't want to get bladdered. You just want to sit for a couple of hours and watch a game or chat with your mate or something. Guinness is a reasonable choice because it's quite hearty. You don't need to bosh it down. No. Whereas with something like cider or lager, I feel like you can just slam them down pretty quickly without even realizing it, and it's 2:30 and you're pissed all of a sudden.
Oh man, I find that especially in Germany, like their beer goes down real smooth.
Oh yeah,
you're just slamming them back. It's no problem.
Indeed.
And then you're shit-faced before you know it.
So yeah, not a big Guinness boy.
This is someone who had a colleague who was a conspiracy theorist. These are the things that they believe.
Right.
This is a long list. Some of these I hadn't heard, but some of them are pretty incredible. The Earth is flat, covered by a glass dome, surrounded by an ice wall. We're talking vanilla conspiracy theory right there. Okay. McDonald's and other fast food chains are matrix food, and they use adrenochrome, a substance only found in terrified babies and children. And when you consume it, it keeps you young. I don't know why they put it in McDonald's, but apparently they do. Babies and children are, of course, being kidnapped at large by the elites to farm their adrenochrome and their blood.
Right.
Which we discussed Blood Boys, where apparently people use the blood of the young.
This is totally sounds like a real thing that people would do, though, and genuinely, like the billionaires are doing this. I'm on board with this conspiracy theory.
Okay, but they're putting it in McDonald's, you think?
Yeah, they're trying to.
I don't think it's in McDonald's. I know kids
in Wendy's
do love McDonald's, but I don't think they like it because it's keeping them young.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's kind of the reverse, isn't it? Like you'd imagine that McDonald's was sucking the adrenochrome out of kids.
Well, yeah. It's evil to let your children believe in Santa because Santa is an anagram of Satan and Santa was a pedophile. That's part 2 of that conspiracy.
Right.
Any famous person ever to exist is a pedophile, proven or not. And as the emailer says, one of the less outlandish beliefs, which is true.
Okay.
Church bells have healing properties due to their frequency, but the government wants to keep us sick. That's why you don't hear bells anymore, which is a weird one, because as they point out, I hear church bells all the time.
Yeah,
all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Me too, yeah. It drives me crazy.
Right.
Actually. I think they do like bell ringing practice, or like you can pay to go and do bell ringing there. And so all Saturday, it's just discordant nonsense. From across the road. Drives me mad.
They believe in chemtrails. They believe in smart meters make you sick, and the effect they have is exponentially worse the older you are. Whatever.
Smart meters make you sick. What, the ones that like you attach to your thing to? I mean,
measure
they do
how much
make
electricity you're using.
They probably make you mentally ill. Like the dads who've got them installed are like, "Oh my god, look how much electricity we're using! Turn off that Nintendo Switch, you little bastard!"
Exactly. They drank bleach to cure their cold. They take ivermectin to kill the parasites that live in their joints.
Right.
They believe electricity.
Ivermectin is an anti-parasitic.
Well, ivermectin is used to kill specific parasites. I think that you can catch in. Is it river water? There's some kind of. I mean, ivermectin is a real drug.
Yeah, it's like it
does have a real
it's like
use.
a deworming thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't use it to kill the bugs that live in your joints, I don't think. Thinks electricity isn't carried by wires and is just free floating in the air, so therefore we don't need to pay bills.
What does that even mean?
Who knows? They think the world is ending every year, and then when it doesn't happen, they have some excuse. They also think that we live in a simulation, and that, of course, the COVID vaccine alters your DNA and implants a microchip. So there you go. That's a pretty interesting list. Imagine walking around all day thinking all this stuff. That'd be pretty nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a fun existence. It actually just sounds like somebody who is hell-bent on sucking the fun out of everything. At any cost. Like it is again like this fear of the unknown. The future is unknown, right? And I think that people worry that the world is fragile because we're constantly told, like, oh, if a solar flare happens, all the electricity will go away, and everyone in that voice will have to eat their own shit. It's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, there's always these apocalyptic ideas, right, floating around, and there's so many of them because they make gripping news. Asteroids, volcanoes. I mean, they were 20 years ago, but and the Cold War before that, nuclear war, nuclear Armageddon. It's all of this is still in the back of everyone's mind. There's so many ways for if it's not that, it's a virus taking down the internet. How we can do stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of paranoid. It's a weird mentality though to truly believe that all of these horrible things are going to happen and then not really make the most of it while things are still, good. If
it's
you
true.
like.
You'd think that,
exactly. You would go out and you'd be like, holy shit, if this is really happening this year, man, I got to go out and sniff some flowers and I got to go try that. I got to start crossing stuff off my bucket list and stuff, not sit around and think of even more miserable shit that you can get depressed about.
You're exactly right. It's completely ass backwards.
Yeah, if they genuinely believe this stuff, why don't they just give all their shit away if the world's going to end?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Just give it all away.
Yeah.
Give it all away. The world's going to end anyway. What do you care?
It's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't understand. I'm not a psychologist. I don't understand the psychology behind it, but it has to be rooted in some weird form of mental illness, right? Like this obsession.
I think humans are prone to it, though. I think we've always been prone to this idea. This in the same way we like to collect things. I think there's lots of things that were helpful for us as to survive in the early days. Be very paranoid, be very scared, be very not diving into an unknown pool of water. I don't know, the stuff that kept us alive is in our genes, it's in our DNA.
So here's the question. If it is a mental illness, it's the most widespread mental illness that has only really appeared in this volume in the last, say, 10 years, right? I mean, there have always been a few conspiracy theories. There was JFK was an inside job, and there have been a couple of others. But there seems to be an awful lot more. I'd say the last 10 or 15 years in particular. And what has happened? The vast spread of information and the internet into everybody's everyday life. Now, I've said before, I think the main reason that people believe this crap is because they're deeply confused about the world. They're quite ignorant people, but their ego refuses to allow them to accept, I'm just not that smart. So they have all this misinformation. They absorb that easily because it's bollocks. And they're like, oh, I'm actually smart because I know all this stuff. And you guys don't because you're sheeple and you just are idiots.
I know, but
it's a combination of information that people don't understand that is widely available, like the fact the earth is fucking round and how we know that, and their massive ego that means that they cannot possibly be stupid because they're constantly told they're not stupid by other idiots.
Yeah.
Well, I also think the so often people say, I've done my research.
Right.
And when they say that, they mean they've watched a YouTube video
or even worse,
by someone who
just
makes
read
a living,
some shit on
who makes a
Facebook.
living off scamming you. Those YouTube channels actually get paid. They don't believe the shit they're peddling in the same way that these pastors, these super churches, don't believe in any of their shit
don't.
either. If they did, they wouldn't have fucking Ferraris and private jets.
Right.
So, I mean, it's the ultimate cynicism. But then you've done your research, which means you've just put your trust in someone who is scamming you.
Yeah.
Like it always shocks me.
It's amazing as well, I think, because these people make out like the truth is out there and how foolish we are not to have believed it. But they've believed some unresearched bollocks, some obviously fake bollocks that is easily debunked because they saw a meme on Facebook or they watched a video and they believed it, and apparently we're the gullible ones. But again, like I said, it's their ego.
I don't know how they
them
set themselves so
to be
apart
gullible.
from everybody else when the only thing that they do different is believe nonsense that they read on something that's
ego.
accessible by billions of people. Like it's not some private information trove that they're accessing that only they have access to or whatever. And then for the most part, they're just still living the same lives as everybody else. They're still consuming, they're still going to work, they're still, you know what I mean? Like they're still doing all the same shit. It's not like, you know, these people aren't migrating off grid en masse and really sticking it to everybody. Like it's just laughable. It's just they're time wasters, massive time wasters. Like they're not even worth talking to. It's just a complete waste of time. It's stupid.
And on that note, let's move on to the final email, which is hopefully going to set up the time wasters.
All of the people.
They're time wasters.
Literally, what this podcast is and what the emails are.
No, but I mean, there's degrees of it, though. Holy crap! There are degrees of it.
There's time spent, doing something that you enjoy, and then there's this shit, isn't there? Like this is clearly time waste. Anyway, this is from someone who wishes to remain anonymous. This is a very, very old callback. And Lewis, this is up to you whether you want to proceed with this or not, okay? Big fan, been listening since day one, finally have something worth emailing in for. I'm Bristol-based. I was re-listening to an old episode where Lewis mentioned his trainer by name. Turns out, my housemate is good friends with one of the coaches at Lewis's old gym.
No.
This gave me the idea that I could ask, through my weak ties, to answer a few questions about Lewis, like, does he remember him? Has the therapy been successful to get over this traumatic time? My first thought was that he wouldn't remember Lewis, but I thought you wouldn't forget a client constantly accusing you of having gay sex and how many cocks he's sucked. So I figure the odds are good he'll not have forgotten. Ultimately, I understand this would be a very weird thing to do and it probably wouldn't go anywhere, so I leave it up to you. Should I bother this fitness professional to get his side of the story or leave him in peace? What do you think?
Okay. Well, for a start, you got to understand that a lot of stories we tell on this podcast are not necessarily exaggerated for comic effect, but
made up for comic effect.
Like cherry picked.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, we had a lot of very normal conversations and other stuff as well as these funny things that happened. But I don't think you should ever stalk people from the podcast.
Agreed.
Or try and find them in real life or ask them about this stuff. You can, but my advice would be to not. And I think over time, certainly I'm trying to anonymize the interactions that I have with people. Like when we were talking about the bands I'd seen at the weekend. If you wanted to, you could look at the Simple Things festival lineup for Bristol 2024 and find out who I was talking about. Right, probably quite easily, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't advise it. Right, and I don't want people coming. I don't want the word getting back to this band that Lewis thought they were shit or whatever. Right. I mean, that's not gonna help anyone, is it?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think talking to my personal trainer from 7 years ago about if he was weirded out by a weirdo on the internet is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But you do you.
No, you can't you do you it. I think you made a good point. We should definitely not do it. Just accept that this podcast exists in a little bubble where we talk bollocks, you guys listen, and sometimes you email in and tell us facts and stuff like that. Or in the mailbag, you give us interesting stories. We don't need to do any work outside of that. We don't need to go and do any special investigations. We don't need to follow-ups. It is what it is. Let's just leave it to die here, or rather than trickle into the real world. I think that's going to be our mantra henceforth.
Let it die here.
So no, please do not contact this guy. Let this person live in peace, not knowing that any of this stupid shit made it online. Please.
Maybe he's very aware of it, and this episode is going to trigger him because he's like in a brace for having to speak to somebody about it again. He's only just gotten over it. He checks in every once in a while to make sure that he's not being mentioned and stuff. It's been years. Probably like, I'm off the hook. They haven't mentioned me. And now all of a sudden, the doors are open again. The investigation's been restarted. It's open.
Good Lord.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, that's our mailbag for this week. Give us some interesting stories.
What an amazing podcast. It was really good. It was really good, this one. Really good time.
Not at all a waste of time, unlike some other stuff that you could be listening to.
Yeah. Give us some stuff we haven't talked about before. Maybe instead of thinking about callbacks, you got an interesting story, send it in.
Yeah.
We don't have to ask for it. You got something interesting, send it in. One small request. I will make it again as I do every week. Please don't send me 3-page essays. They're not going to get read out. And remember, this podcast exists as an audio podcast. So sending me 30 images to go alongside it, that's not helpful.
It's not,
just write words
But
that we can read.
an outro theme tune.
Outro theme tunes, keep it coming. Again, that's audio.
Music and stuff, if you send it to us and it's original music, it's not at all copied, you might hear it on here. It's possible. We have the technology, so.
Yeah. Or your 3-page at most scripts.
Yes.
Preferably with slightly fewer stage directions or truncated stage directions.
I think like
would be
70% less narration.
Yes.
Okay.
There was just too much narration in that one.
Too much.
Yeah.
Well,
too much.
You get to hear my voice more.
Well, that's true.
That is
That's
true.
the downside.
That is
yeah.
true. That is one
That
upside.
is true.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.